So, the internet is full of all of these wonderful, inspiring stories of people having early retirement, retiring in their 30s, retiring in their 40s, living their best lives. But what is the truth? Is it all rainbows and unicorns, or are there actually negative aspects to retiring early? This is what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is the CMO on Sabbatical. This is where I detail my journey and learnings from retiring from the corporate world at the age of 37. I essentially share three approaches that helped me get here, which is how to maximize career, how to leverage capital, and how to make smart choices. This particular video is part of a two-part series. This is the first part where I will talk about the worst things about retiring early in your 30s, like I have. And the second one will be the best things. So you're going to get both sides of this particular scenario. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the worst things about retiring early. Let me be very, very clear. I'm not going to make this very cryptic. Overall, retiring early in my 30s has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would recommend it if possible. I know it's not entirely possible and it's not always necessary because some people love their jobs. So don't think that this is something that one has to aspire to. But at the same time, I have been surprised over the last 6 to 7 months since I did this on my journey of self-discovery, and rather my journey on understanding that a lot of things that I thought how they would work out, they have worked out entirely differently. So I want to talk about some of these less positive things. So I've got 5 of them for you. Let's start with the first one. Number 1, stress doesn't go away. Now, this particular insight, I think, has more of a neuroscience basis more than anything else. I thought that, I had a pretty hectic job, you could say, senior management, head of marketing for a pretty large $500 million business. Thousands of things on my mind all the time. People matters, business matters, projects, objectives, revenue, profit, market share, name it. It was there. And throughout my entire 15-year career, it was one continuous block of stress, because think about it, in your job, in any corporate job, it's not like stress goes away when you're on holiday. The work still continues, the business still continues. You just go away for a while and then you come back and then you handle all the shit that's left for you after you've come back. So I actually thought that once I would stop working, that the stress would go away. No, something very interesting happened. The first few days after I stopped working, so I retired, or rather my last day in P&G was 31st of August 2023. So first week of September, I thought, wow, it was going to be like all rainbows, butterflies. I have nothing to think about. The thing is, for the first month, I couldn't sleep properly. It's not because I was stressed about money, nothing like that. It's just that my mind was so used to operating at full speed all the time. Think about it, right? You're always operating. Suddenly devoid of problems to solve, it was just always rushing. And it was just not able to accept that, oh wait, I don't have anything to worry about. So it was kind of self-creating stress out of nothing. It was very, very surprising. I had never experienced anything like it in my life. I met a few ex-colleagues about a month or so later, and I remarked this to them, that it was one of the most remarkable things. And then the other thing is, in the absence of very, very real stressy things to stress about, work, etc. Honestly, even work, I've told this to a lot of people. Most of us who are in the corporate world, who are in good positions, earning reasonably well, honestly, we don't have that much to be stressed about from a work standpoint. Yes, you can lose your job. Yes, this can happen. But big picture, and if you frame yourself in the context of all of human history, your food is secure, your transport is secure, and relatively speaking to the majority of society around you, even today, or that has ever existed, you are in a very, very fortunate place. So I always said this, so it's not that I was very stressed to begin with, but, leaving the corporate world, leaving those corporate stresses, I expected even this little bit of stress would go away. It didn't. It's just the human condition. So I started fixating on other things. I started fixating on, am I optimizing my health properly? I started fixating on, okay, this is my financial plan. It's great. Can I do anything better? So I had to find some sources of stress, which was very strange. And which is what I realized that, right, ultimately, one's experience and one's experience of life is ultimately driven by one's own mind and one's control of one's mind. This is the reason, I guess, why in the ancient Indian tradition that we perfected the art of meditation. So that's one particular thing, right? You can remove all the stress factors from your life, but ultimately, if you can't control your mind, you're still going to have stress. So that's the first thing to note. Second one, old habits die hard. So this is very interesting. So the main reason that I wanted to retire early is that I wanted to be an aimless artist. I wanted to be a struggling musician, artist making painting something over there, composing some music over here. All of that. The complete opposite of being a results-driven corporate kind of a guy. Guess what happened? I tried doing that, and I still want to do it. And I still paint, and I still write, and I do that. This is a big part of who I am. But somehow I was so used to this results-driven, scorecard-driven mindset that I fixated and I started spending my time on something else altogether. So what happened is that I have 3 YouTube channels. This is one of them. This is the one I don't take too seriously. This is really just for dispersing information. So I'm not really doing anything that would be in the playbook to make a YouTube channel bigger. But I have 2 other YouTube channels. One is the Ministry of Guitar, and the second one is the VARC Indian History podcast. Again, VARC Indian History is also not so much about the channel. It's more about the purpose, which is of reclaiming Indian history from all the distortions. But the first one, Ministry of Guitar, which was a passion thing for me, I got obsessed by it. I was like, okay, I need to learn how to optimize this channel. I need to improve the viewership. I need to improve the subscribers, etc. So I got obsessed with that. Not because I'm trying to make any money from it or anything. It's just as a pursuit of excellence. And the results have been there because, I have essentially 10 to 20x'd my viewership, average viewers, watch time. It was a very small channel. It is now monetized. It is earning the equivalent of an internship, honestly, already. It's only been 2-3 months. So, and I've been obsessed about looking at it. I wake up, I look at the scorecard. Before at night, I look at the scorecard, YouTube analytics. It's like, what am I doing? This isn't like how I used to look at share reports, etc. But it's just old habits die hard. And as much as when I was forced to do it, when I was forced to be, not that I was forced, but it was my choice, right? To be a marketer, to be a business leader. Then it was my job. People were paying me money to do this. Then I looked at it slightly differently. It was like, do I have to look? Sometimes I was like, do I have to look at the scorecard? I want to do something else. But now I kind of do it out of fun. So very strange how old habits still remain, old tendencies still remain. And I think this goes a little bit deeper because being a middle-class Indian, of course I'm Singaporean now, but originally from India, you're just so used to always competing, trying to get better. Class 10, try to get good marks. Class 12, try to get into good college. College, do okay. Try to get a good job. In job, try to get the next promotion, blah, blah, blah. That's life. Even though I've stepped out of that rat treadmill, the tendencies of the last 25 years don't go away just like that. So that's the thing I've heard. Talking about this entire corporate rat race and talking about this entire thing. So sometimes I do get, this is the third negative thing is the grass is greener effect. So when you're working, when you have got 10-12 hour days every single day, business trips, no sleep, land after a red eye, work all day, then go and have, this is working in Japan by the way, then go and have drinks with the colleagues. So those kind of days, then you're like, oh my God, if only I had time. And now that you have all the time, sometimes you're like, wasn't it nice to be that busy? Wasn't it nice to have all of that travel? And then I remember distinctly how miserable sometimes I was when things got exceptionally tiring, when I didn't have passion to do didn't have time to do things I liked. But occasionally your brain has this grass is greener effect. You're like, no, that was nice. Oh, it was so great. The other day, I found myself nostalgic for meetings, and I was like, oh my God, how can I be nostalgic for meetings? Some of them were such a waste of time. I used to be so irritated when something that could be done in 10-15 minutes took like an hour, and then everybody waxed lyrical, and not that I showed this, you have to be of a certain demeanor. But obviously inside, there are moments that you are admiring what people are doing, and there are moments where you think that they're really not doing something correct. So I did not like large meetings with large numbers of people. They were extremely inefficient. The other day I was feeling nostalgic about them. I was like, I knocked my head and I was like, remember how you felt when you were actually in them. And that kind of woke me up. But it is interesting how the grass is greener Happens even, you may miss work even when you are quote unquote retired. The fourth one, denial and guilt. This is an interesting one. So you tend to feel, this goes back to the middle class thing that I was saying, that we are so used to the ethic that you have to work hard in order to get somewhere in life, and you have to work hard to deserve anything. You want a nice car, you better work hard. You want a good house, you better work hard. You want that holiday, you better work hard. Right? That's what's been inbuilt into us, because you could have nothing. In pre-liberalization India, of course, I didn't grow up in pre-liberalization, but the few transitions of liberalization in the 90s, material things that you consider quite normal today living in a first world country were very, very exclusive. And I mean, even eating non-veg every day was not an option because it's too expensive, as an example. Overseas holiday, forget about it. I had one overseas holiday to Kathmandu, not really overseas, really, in the entire 18 years of my childhood. Car, we had the same Maruti 800 for like 10, 11 years, and we had another Maruti 800 and we had a WagonR. So what I'm trying to say is that what was very clear is, in order to get more than this, you had to work really, really hard in order to do everything. That's the reason why you struggled so much for 10th, you struggled so much for 12th, so on and so forth. And now that I kind of feel very strange, because on one hand, I am young enough to not feel that I have spent a lifetime working. I've worked for 15 years, which is not a small amount of time. But I'm still in my 30s, so I still feel that, okay, I'm sitting around, I'm not really earning money as such. I mean, I'm passively earning money. We've talked about this on this channel, but I'm not actively earning money. I'm not making labor for money anymore. Maybe the YouTube channel, but that's just fun. So I don't consider it labor. I would do it anyway. So then I'm like, I feel guilty. Wait, do I really deserve to drive that BMW 640i coupe that I have? Do I really deserve to stay in such a large, nice house? It really gets to me, actually, sometimes, that I feel really guilty. Like, it just feels wrong somehow. And that's something I struggle with. And again, I look at the math of it. I see how it has worked out. I see how this works, makes sense. I can do it, but it just feels wrong. And, I think one thing that I've realized, and I'll probably come to this, is if you are accorded the privilege of time, if you're accorded the privilege of having not having to literally sing for your supper, as the case is right now, then I think it is your duty to do something very positive for society. I'm not really sure what I can do just yet, but it has struck me that just being my best self, this very Western, this very individualistic pursuit of my best self is ultimately shallow. So yeah, this is something I don't have an answer for right now perfectly, but yeah, that is something I do want to do. The last, so maybe it's not a negative thing, but kind of an insightful thing, this denial and guilt. The last piece, which is the last negative thing that I want to share, is being out of sync with your friend group. Now, my friend group is in the peak of their careers. Some of them are, it's not a question of financial ability. They are worth 10x me, probably, some of them. But they continue to do what they're doing because they like doing what they're doing. And they're all in the midst of the career where Monday to Friday, they're working like crazy. Then Saturday and Sunday, they chill and then they plonk out. So they're on a certain wavelength. My wavelength is not that. For me, Monday or Saturday is all the same. In fact, I joke that Sunday is the hardest day for me. It's not hard. Nothing is hard, just be clear. But is relatively the day I have to do a little bit more work, because that's the day that we have hired help here in Singapore. Our hired helper, of course, gets her weekly day off. So that's the day that I have to do a little bit more, but nothing at all. So I'm in a very different wavelength where every day is equally stressed or equally relaxed, depending on how you look at it. Whereas for my friends, the Saturdays and Sundays are very clear. So what happens as a consequence is that the social, not that we meet and we are in completely different wavelengths, but I end up getting a very different kind of social life. When you go to the office, you meet people every single day. You have all of that interaction, and then you meet your friends on the weekend. Here, Monday to Friday, my social life is almost non-existent. I'm doing what I'm doing, and then Saturday, Sunday, I get the normal dose of social life, which I used to get when I was working, which is pretty decent if you think of it from a working standpoint. But when you look at the amount of time that you have, it becomes a little bit, it's odd. It's really, really odd. Okay, so these are the 5 negative things about retiring in your 30s. In the next video, I will share with you the 5 positive things. All right, I hope this was fun. Till next time.